Good afternoon, everybody. It is June the 5th, and the Stanley Cup Final has started. Welcome to Scouching Live. I am Will. I am, of course, joined by the Wonder Boy himself, fresh off of a shift at his big boy job, producer A.J. Jadera. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Working from home is nice. I can confirm.
It is, yes, indeed. It is nice. And you are in my office right now. So yes, this is it's not so bad down here. By the way, I'm just gonna turn that on because I forgot and I see it in the background. But anyway, welcome to the show. We're getting right down to it. It is official. It is officially June, and we are within our last couple of weeks
Summer of
before
Scouch, baby!
our big NHL Draft extravaganza. It is our time to shine. There are lots of scouting reports out that you can check out. There is
Watch
two
all
from
our
this week.
content, support everything
Yes,
we
all
do,
of it.
like all our
Yep.
videos, leave 5 comments.
A billion coffees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
Ben Kindle came out on Tuesday. Kayshawn Aitchison came out yesterday, and
Whoa,
we've got
the reports
Yep.
came out. The reports came out.
Yeah, the reports. Yes, reports. And Friday we've got Caleb Desnoyers. So we're getting right up to the top of the lists here. I recorded another 2 this week, so this is going to be a good time. And so yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we're nowhere close to done. So we actually were mocking up the rankings, our graphics for the rankings before the show, and we're planning some fun stuff for the week of the draft. And yeah, so it's getting right down to it. It's exciting. And again, if you are back half of the show, this show is all Q&A. So if you have any questions about anything, just fire away, and we will get to it. But anyway, speaking of getting to it, the Stanley Cup Final has begun in the city of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and the Edmonton, Alberta, Canada Oilers have won Game 1.
Their government name.
Yes, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada has won Game 1 in overtime. Again, 3-1, the worst lead in hockey,
Supposedly.
obviously. Yes. I will also admit that I did not get the chance to see this game last night because I was supposed to be out for dinner with my family celebrating the graduation from university of a family member. But while she was out, her dog jumped out the window and ran away. So we spent all night looking for the dog. So I did not see the game. We did find it this morning, so that's good. But at the end of the day, I am barely familiar with what went down in this game, but I do understand. AJ, you can tell me.
I am
fill me
somewhat
in here.
familiar as well.
Right. There was some controversy.
Absolutely.
There was a little bit of craziness, and Leon Draisaitl scored in the first minute, which seems to be the least controversial thing in the game.
Sam Bennett might be the biggest heel of the NHL currently. Like, he might be the most hated guy, and honestly, whatever team ends up signing him to that $12 million contract, AAV, they're gonna hate him too. Very possibly.
Yeah, I mean, 2 goals last night, one of them while basically on top of Stuart Skinner. Look, if they're, I guess,
goal? I think that might have been Carter Verhey.
I think it bounced off of him. No, I'm looking now.
Okay.
And Marchand, Bennett are the goal scorers listed on the game sheet I'm looking at. So yeah, but I mean, I think it went it hit him in front of the net and bounced in. But anyway, I mean,
he was a key factor on all 3 of the goals.
Yes,
whether it was a result of a failed challenge on on the first goal where I got hit by Brett Kulak. I'm just gonna slowly back into Stuart Skinner and everything will be just fine and dandy. Oh man, Sam Bennett is a very good player on the Florida Panthers. I am not sure how it is going to translate outside of Florida. I still think he'll be good, but I don't think he'll be nearly as good, is the thing.
Yes. Yep. I mean, with the game sheet that I'm looking at here from Sport Contract, shout out Sport Contract, by the way. I've got, they're showing 80 shot attempts from Florida and 73 for Edmonton, but the home plate attempts, they called it, were 31-19 for Florida. And but Florida seemed to make their possessions count a lot more, but they did not have as much success in transition. It seems they played a lot of dump and chase, which I don't think is unusual for Florida. And I think long term, that's an interesting strategy if I'm the Florida Panthers, where
Yeah.
you really try to challenge Edmonton's defense group deep in their own end. Like that, I think is where Florida could actually find some success. Is like, because I feel like if you let Edmonton's forwards sort of sit back and block you at the offensive blue line when you're trying to carry, like those forwards have the ability to just turn the puck around, go offensive, and just make you pay for it. So
Yep.
I feel like for Florida, it makes a lot of sense to do that whole dump and chase thing, and it is an opportunity for them to. I mean, granted, they were basically equal in terms of retrieving pucks and such in the offensive zone, but at the end of the day, I mean, they went up 3-1. Bit of controversy. It seems like it was a great game, though. I saw plenty of
Mhm.
videos of the overtime winner there from Connor McDavid. The interesting thing I saw also was Wayne Gretzky talking about that goal. I think it was that goal or some other play that Connor McDavid played. And he was saying how it's part of what makes McDavid so dangerous is, and why a guy like him is so
Was
valuable
it
is
the
like
Ekholm goal maybe, where McDavid like just passes it?
maybe,
he, he just pulls guys out of position, and then Matthias
yeah,
Ekholm scores. Man, it was crazy.
yeah. Like and so the thing about McDavid is like, the Florida Panthers are doing a really good job clogging the middle of the ice, clogging the front of their net, and kind of
Mhm.
preventing those opportunities. So it's not like McDavid can really get away with like a ton of inside playmaking all of the
And the
time.
winner was a Draisaitl goal, by the way.
Oh, okay. There you go. Right. Yes. The winner was Draisaitl. McDavid set him up though. And it was it's all around the boards, right? Like so McDavid goes, okay, there's all this energy in front of the net. I'm not going to penetrate through here, whatever. So he has the speed and the skill level and the skating ability to sort of work around the
He's just
perimeter
so
and and
good.
and
It's not
and find
fair.
opportunities, right?
It's not
So
fair.
he he can be one of these guys that kind of bucks the trend of, yeah, he can go on the rush and attack the middle of the ice, attack the net, all that stuff. But at the same time, if you counter that, he goes, oh, okay, like I'll try this. Like I had an NHL coach reach out to me last night watching the game. I again wasn't watching it, but he just was like, it's kind of incredible, like watching McDavid, because there's literally nothing you can do to
Nope.
really slow him down, right? Like, because when you think you can say, you look at his game and go, okay, here's where we could maybe counter him. He works around it immediately. He's like the Borg from Star Trek. Like he just adapts, right? And he just finds a way around it, and then you go, oh crap, we better figure out a way to shut that down. But then that means you're opening holes in your scoring areas or something, and he can find a way in there. So like just the energy of McDavid on the ice tilts things immensely. And I mean, last night he was one of their better possession players. Obviously, two big assists last night. He had the third most shots on net on the entire team.
So
Um,
gross, man.
he just
Just
all
he's
around
not
is just
fair.
insane.
He's not fair.
Yeah, no, no, not at all.
But
And
one
I
thing I will
mean,
say,
yeah, go
unless you
ahead.
want to finish your thought, because
No,
I'm
no, no,
gonna.
I'm good. I'm done. Yeah, no, go
I
ahead.
think as you were mentioning before about Florida playing dump and chase, you talked about it earlier, like in a previous stream. Florida is war of attrition type of hockey, right? So for them, they're gonna wear teams down as series go on. It's what happened to the Leafs, and it's why they ended up collapsing in the way that they did, is because they would just punish the hell out of all the defensemen in those games. And I feel like I felt like going into this series that Edmonton would take like a 2-0 lead, but Florida is going to counter. And I am not going to be surprised if we see 2-2, honestly. And I think once we get to game 5, we'll kind of have a sense of where this is going, because I just really think that the way Florida plays, they're going to be patient, but they're going to come at whatever team they're facing, and in this case, it's the Edmonton Oilers, with so much pressure and intensity. And I saw it again last night. Like, it was just incredible. No time to think or react, but Connor McDavid is just faster than everybody, so it
It
kind of
doesn't.
doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a guy like McDavid on your team. I mean, the thing is too, like, didn't Paul Maurice also in a press conference for this come out and be like, "This is probably going to go 7 games"? He's like, "I wouldn't."
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
he
you mentioned
said
that
like,
earlier.
"I'm not." So it's almost like he wants it to go that long. Like I think that's like part of the strategy for Florida. Like you said, like
Hmm.
they wear you down. Like look at what happened in the Toronto series, right? Like Toronto's the team that's come the closest to eliminating them,
They were almost up
and
3-0.
they
They
were
were
almost up
it
3-0,
was very close.
Florida just kept hammering them. and Florida did the exact same thing against Carolina. And I think Carolina started slow. Like, I think they started worn down. And in the last couple of games, I think they did look a lot better. But Toronto in those last games, especially at home, just got absolutely hammered and is like pounded.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like if Edmonton thinks this is going to be a walk in the park, I mean, number one, you went down 3-1 and you won, but
I almost feel
Florida
like
is
that's like Edmonton kind of thrives being down with Connor McDavid
well,
going no BS anymore, no BS
yeah,
anymore, and just
I totally agree.
he just goes, man.
I know. And I'm just looking at some of the possession times, like and win like guys who win and lose possessions.
Yeah.
I mean, both teams in the offensive zone, or sorry, the Florida Panthers had the advantage winning possessions in the offensive zone. So their forecheck is clearly working,
Yeah.
but I mean, and they played a lot in their own end relative to the Edmonton Oilers. So
The
we'll
shot
see
totals
how that
like
goes.
slid super heavily in Edmonton's favor at towards
Yeah,
the end of the game. Like into the third
right.
period, I think Edmonton was trailing like slightly. And
Mhm.
then it's like what they had 42 shots on net by the end of the game, and I think Florida had like somewhere close
Yeah.
to 30.
It says 48-38, but I mean, it depends on what you consider a shot. Um,
Shot on goal.
at the end of the day, yes, you're right. They did outshoot them. I mean, but like when you remove special teams, Florida did have, oh no, they didn't actually. It was 39-36
But that's
at even
closer.
strength all game, but it's closer, right? So, I mean, it seems like game one was a story of Florida getting a lot of good chances and going up quick, and Edmonton just pestering them and chipping away. And then at the end, just gaining a lot of momentum there. And obviously winning in overtime. Like, right. I mean, that almost went to double overtime, right? So I don't know. This is gonna be great though. I really wish I could have watched it. Obviously, family first, of course, and I'm not gonna, miss
And
game
family
one of a Stanley Cup
pets.
final for and pets and all that stuff. So there's that. But I mean, I'm excited for games 2 through whatever. I mean, I think it will go pretty deep
I
and
think at
and
the very least we're getting 6.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know. I love watching both of these two teams play. Like we said this on the last show, the like previewing the Stanley Cup a little bit here. It was like they're two fascinating teams. Like Florida is the a forechecking nightmare. Like they are an energetic atomic bomb that is really hard to handle. And Edmonton is exciting. Like they
A
are a
nuclear
rush
warhead.
offense. Yeah, they are.
That's what they
They
are.
are. They're like a hypersonic missile. Like it's like they just know how to counterattack. They know how to rush offense. They have guys with some of the best speed in the NHL, but they also have Draisaitl, who is just a tank on skates. And I
Complements
mean,
everything they do so well,
yeah,
being the
he
slower
does.
guy.
It's so funny, like because I think I did this before the last show we did, but I went and watched every goal Leon Draisaitl scored this year because I find guys like him fascinating, right? And I always try to look at guys in the draft and go, okay, Draisaitl, doesn't I feel like
He's
if
an
Draisaitl were
anomaly.
seven, he's a bit of an anomaly. I agree, but it's like, what is it about him that makes him so like dominant in the offensive zone? And number one, and yeah, he is strong as an ox on his feet, but him on the right wing is lethal. Like if you forget about him and you give him 2 feet of room, 3 feet of room, he'll find a way to make you pay for it. He knows how to put the puck in the net. He just, I don't know. It's really wild watching a guy like Draisaitl play, especially in the context of where everybody else is. Um, so for me, I mean, I don't know. I look at this game and I go, it's a story of two very different play styles at work here. Florida is simultaneously forechecking really, 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 really hard and pressing Edmonton's defense, but also clogging the middle of the ice in their own end and forcing Edmonton to sort of think creatively. And Edmonton is thinking creatively and really trying to work around it and work around all the Sam Bennett accidentally falling into goaltenders and oh heavens, what have I done?
These are the right two teams to be in the
Yeah,
finals.
I think so too. Like I
Even if
mean,
I picked against Edmonton in literally every
yes,
series.
yes, yeah, exactly. And
Pick them to
yeah,
be
I
where they
mean,
were last year, though. Okay.
yeah, Yeah. I mean, it was funny. I don't know if anyone else saw this. I saw a clip from, I forget what show, what pod. It was probably Chicklets, but Zach Hyman was being interviewed, and they asked Zach Hyman about the harmonica choir, the Korean harmonica choir, and he's like, first game, he's like, game one, we had no idea what was happening. He's like, that was bizarre, and we didn't really understand what was going on. He's like, game two, they came back, and we kind of thought it was funny. And he's like, but we kind of used it as motivation. We were just like, wouldn't it be hilarious that we just like bounce these guys out of the playoffs right away as fast as we can when they have all this like positive, weird energy around these people? He's like, we kind of saw it as like an opportunity to really sort of make them look really silly.
And they
And
did.
I mean, yes, but I don't care. I still believe that the harmonica choir should do the national anthems for LA Kings games at least once a week, because that was hilarious and it was great. And hockey needs more humor. But that was great. But yes, it was very funny seeing Zach Hyman go, yeah, we thought it was a little strange and we thought it was funny. It would be, he just casually was just like, well, we thought it'd be funny if we would just bounce them right away and make them look a little silly for that. So anyway, I thought that was pretty good. But I mean, yeah. So I'm thrilled for the rest of the series. Again, if you're especially like a person who loves like really understanding the nitty gritty of the sport and like how these teams play against one another or how these teams play in general, it's gonna be a crash course. Like it's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, game one seems to have already been that. And we'll have to see how it goes because not much really to be critical of, I think, with either of these teams. And I don't know. Who do you, I mean, you saw more of the game than I did, but you had Florida winning, was it?
Truthfully, I think I think I was saying that to be a bit of a, not. No, no. I tried to razz people a little bit more. I was trying to razz Rayanne. That's what I was trying to do. Like I was trying to razz
Okay.
Rayanne.
Yeah, the graphic designer,
I'm
Edmonton
not betting
Oilers
against
fan.
Connor McDavid is kind of where I felt going into this series. I
Man,
just wanted to razz him.
for Connor McDavid to win a Stanley Cup in, I believe this is his 10th season, um,
Yeah.
it, I am totally for it, and it's not like the whole rah Canadian team winning the Stanley Cup
Is it
thing. I
his
mean, that
10th
would
or
be
is it
cool.
his 9th?
It, it,
He was drafted in
well, he started
2015.
15-16, so well, that would be, I
And
don't
this
know.
year's 24-25, so it's probably 9th, right? Or no, it is the 10th season.
Yeah, it would be his 10th.
It's
Yeah.
the 10th, yeah.
Yeah,
The
10th
next one would be the 11th.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the 10th
So
season, yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I think with him, it's like well deserved because of how much they've been through. Like there was times where people were talking about him being frustrated in general with the direction of the team, and
Probably rightly
they like,
so at the time,
yeah,
though.
and right, yeah, probably rightly so, right? Like they were, you with a guy like McDavid on your team scoring as much as he did and playing like he did and not being a highly competitive organization.
Also, as many first overall and
Well,
super high
yes,
lottery picks that they
that's
got,
the other
like
thing. Yes.
you kinda should win
Yeah.
with all the assets you got
Yeah.
for being
And
horrible and a
nobody
generational player at that.
nobody ever doubted how good he was. I mean,
Nope.
nobody doubted that the appeal of a guy like McDavid. And so for him to pull it off and like win a Stanley Cup, like it would be pretty incredible. And like, yeah, I mean, obviously Canada, a Stanley Cup win in Canada for the first time since I was literally in kindergarten would be pretty cool. It would be pretty awesome. There have been lots of attempts and lots of failures, but having it happen would be really cool. Um, but
I
at
don't
the end of
want
the
it to
day,
happen because of that, but I also want Connor
yeah,
McDavid to win it because
it's
he's
more
Connor
about McDavid for
McDavid.
me, and
Yeah.
even Draisaitl, right? Like a
Yeah.
guy like Draisaitl, like there was a time when Draisaitl was a teenager, like people were thinking the Oilers screwed up another draft pick with him. Like there was a time where
Yeah.
Draisaitl was kind of an okay power forward with real defensive holes, and Edmonton rushed him to the NHL. Then they were like, "Uh-oh, we better send him back to junior." And then he was in the AHL and he was bouncing around, and it looked like a Puljujärvi all over again. But luckily
He
for
came
them,
before Puljujärvi, though.
I thought Puljujärvi was. Oh yeah, it's the other way around. Right. Well, either way, there was a period where Draisaitl was bouncing around, and people were like,
Yeah.
"Oh boy, like what's going on here?" And then I think it was like 2018 or so, he just like exploded and just hit another gear, and he's
Yeah.
been absolutely amazing ever since. So pretty wild.
Then the next year he won the Hart Trophy the next year in
Yep.
Or maybe not
Yep.
in 1920 he won.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's going to be great. I'm excited. I still feel like it would be the hockey gods, I think, are going to smile on this great nation for once, and maybe
No, they're
Connor
gonna
McDavid
smile on
gets
Connor
himself.
McDavid.
Yeah, they're
They
gonna
don't
yeah they're
care
gonna
about
go. You
his
paid your
nation.
dues, son. Here you go.
Welcome to the
Um,
pantheon, son.
yeah, he's in the pantheon officially. Yeah, now that he might win a Stanley Cup, maybe he'll be a Hall of Fame worthy player.
No, a hockey
Um,
god. That is the status that he will be elevated to,
man, yeah,
and rightly so.
for,
He's the
yeah.
craziest thing I've ever seen play this game, man.
Yeah. I mean, I forget who it was on I forget who it was, but I saw someone get interviewed. Oh, it was Sam Gagne. Sam Gagne was getting interviewed and Gagne was saying, "Oh yeah, when I was 18 or so, like I got a phone call. I was training in Toronto and I got a phone call from someone like, "Hey, do you want to hit the ice for a skills session or whatever?" He's like, "Yeah, of course." He's like, "Okay, cool. Is it okay if this like 12-year-old kid comes along?" And Sam Gagne is like 19 and a top 5 draft pick or whatever, and he's just like, I mean, okay, sure. Like, if you think it would be whatever, whatever. And he shows up and it's Connor McDavid. And he's like, he was better than I am. He's like, he was better. He was more skilled than me. He was beyond my capabilities. And I was a teenager who had just scored like 120 points in London or whatever. And like, he was 12 years old and skating circles around me. And I thought, okay, like, the times are going to change pretty quick if this kid keeps his head on straight. So he's like, it doesn't surprise me to see him doing what he's doing. Like, it's crazy. Especially the way he does it. It's exciting, and hockey's in a wonderful era, I think. Speaking of wonderful eras and potentially going into the future of a wonderful hockey era, the Memorial Cup was also handed out in between the last show we've done and this one. And in a great act of I would say revenge, but maybe not the right word because they didn't win over Saginaw. But the London Knights finally pull off a Memorial Cup victory.
Back-to-back
Uh,
OHL teams winning.
Back-to-back OHL
Let's
teams
go.
winning.
My home
Elite Ontario,
province.
never in doubt.
Even if Saginaw is not actually in Ontario.
Yeah, no, we don't talk about that. Saginaw, yeah, no, forget it. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, I watched as much of this tournament as I could, and it was as good as I hoped it would be. Um, Obviously, credit to the Medicine Hat Tigers, though.
So,
like,
is Easton Cow an elite? Is he going to replace Mitch Marner? Is he going to score 200 billion
dude,
points a season?
look, I don't know for sure, but Easton Cowan's passing game is so stupid. Like, it's so out of control. Like, he has some of the best vision I've seen for a junior player. Like, I still don't know if he's like, what was the thing? Was it I think it might have been a troll job, but I think you sent it to me being like, can Easton Cowan replace Mitch Marner on the
Oh, I
Leafs
just
next
told
year
you
or
about
something?
it. I don't think
Right.
generally I don't send.
Yeah, you don't send me much. You tell me things.
Yes. And you
But I
believe
did
me.
see something like that, and that made me laugh. That cracked me up. And it's like, I mean, typical, Toronto things. But I mean, Easton Cowan was excellent in that tournament and a well-deserved MVP in that tournament as well. But like, the goaltending was excellent. Austin Elliott was awesome. I mean, he was a guy who was like a WHL outcast at the beginning of this season, and ended up, winning a Memorial Cup. And I think he only lost like 3 games with the London Knights all season.
That is
2.
ridiculous.
He went 48-2
Oh,
this year. And so,
that's like
obviously,
Undertaker's WrestleMania streak.
yes, yeah. And I think it just goes to show, like, obviously in the CHL, the London Knights are an example of, like, they have had some beneficial things go their way. There's a lot of players who actively want to play there and will try their best to end up there. Like Sam Dickinson was drafted by the Niagara Ice Dogs, for example, right? Like Blake Montgomery was added halfway through the season. Like they have a bunch of players and there's an environment there where guys want to go there. And so they get a bit of a benefit from that. The Medicine Hat Tigers, they were an atrocious franchise for a really long time, but the Medicine Hat Tigers landed Gavin McKenna, and more guys wanted to show up there, and they've drafted a lot of skill and a lot of upside. They moved a lot of their futures to make their team better this year and try to compete with London. And they won the round. They won the round robin. They won their spot in the final by beating the London Knights. Like, they did do it. And they just couldn't do it in the final. But I don't look at that as a failure at all. I thought that team played really, really well, but London is such a great example of just such a well-rounded, constructed team that they were getting offense from pretty much everyone, really. I mean, it wasn't the most offensive tournament out there, by and large, but still, like they were getting some good performances out of a lot of different guys. And I mean, look, I've always liked a guy like Jacob Julien all season long for London. I remember seeing him live in person at the beginning of the year, going like, well, I don't remember seeing this out of him last year. You know, like I don't remember seeing this level of speed and tenacity and even skill. Right? He's like a 6'4" center. Granted, he's an 04, so he's a little bit on the older side. So his developmental pathway is a little bit shorter. But I mean, that's a guy who I would definitely not rule out of being in a fourth line role or something in the NHL one day, just because of the energy and the intensity in his game and how he brings such an interesting combination of size and physicality and pace and skill. And I don't think it's all like, oh my goodness, this kid's going to be elite and a first line guy in the NHL. But I mean, he plays a style of play where if I'm building a team and I want someone to play on my bottom six and my team needs a bit of a punch and a bit of height, he might be a guy that I go after. Just a really, really good performance from him too. But I mean, also shout out to the Moncton Wildcats. I thought they also played really, really well in this tournament as well, right? Like, credit to Caleb Desnoyers, who mentioned he was injured and playing through some injuries throughout the playoffs and throughout the Memorial Cup. So that obviously is, a sign of him and who he is and whatever. But I mean, they got great performances from everyone else, right? Obviously, Matisse Rousseau in net was great, and he faced a lot of rubber. Juraj Pekarczyk was really good. Julius Sumpf has been my favorite player to watch on that team all year, and I mean, I very well could see him playing his way into a draft pick at some point and being in the AHL or ECHL next year or something, or loaned back to Germany. I don't know, but he looked great, and yeah, I mean, it was great. It was one of the better tournaments. I mean, last year's final, London Saginaw, that was pretty incredible, and that's a tough one to top. And London did kind of run away with the final this year, and just kind of, it wasn't particularly close when push came to shove here, but still, I feel like even Rimouski, right? Everybody showed up. Everybody had a really, really good tournament. It was entertaining, and yeah, I mean, congrats to the London Knights. Like, huge performance. Also, Denver Barkey tied for the tournament lead in scoring. I'm really happy that
Love Denver Barkey.
yeah, Thomas Williams. I know he's a watcher of the show, but I did a show of his podcast with him where we watched a game of Denver Barkey together and walked through some of the tape from him a few months ago. And I've been so excited about him for so long, and like just the way he plays, I love it, and what he brings to the game. And yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe we also did just see the last game Gavin McKenna plays in a Medicine Hat Tigers jersey, right? Like, I don't know, but
We'll see.
he was also quite good too. He was obviously very, very good, being a 17-year-old who was, in points per game, the highest scoring guy in the tournament. But anyway, I mean, I mean, Mr. AJ, I don't think there's anything else really going on in hockey right now except draft stuff. So is it question time?
Sure.
Because the rankings
Back
aren't done
hour
yet.
and a half.
Yeah, back hour and a half. So please, let's fill out this time. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the rankings are in the
stuff
works.
that did come up, to be fair, like Brock Nelson's contract.
That's true. Brock Nelson staying in
Colorado, yeah.
In Colorado, 3 years, was it?
Yep.
3 years, $7.5 million.
I think that's a great deal.
I think I would, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Like, I know he's not the youngest player in the world by any means.
Right.
Like, he's 33 now, so he'll be 36 when that contract expires, but he's still really, really good right now, and he is an ideal 2C for a franchise at the moment. Like, him behind Nathan McKinnon, I think it's perfect. Like, that's the right kind of player you want. Just, he brings it. Speed, intensity, tenacity, man. Those are the kind of guys I look for. And Brock Nelson, I swear to God, this guy has like the most insane Octobers every year. Like, he'll just go off on insane scoring tangents. So I'm excited to see what he does when the season picks up again. I mean, we still have a Stanley Cup final to get through. but I love Brock
Yeah.
Nelson, and I think it's a good move, all things considered.
Yeah, and I mean, if they can figure out what the heck is going on with Martin Necas, because apparently he's not particularly happy in Colorado. I don't know how that works, but yeah, I mean, there was a report out there that I think, I want to double check
Yeah, go
what
ahead.
happened here because I want to get it right. Yeah, okay, I mean, it's one person's. Oh, I think it was Kyprios. Okay, so
Oh,
yeah, Nick
so
Kyprios.
don't
It's
listen to
probably
it.
overblown. But yeah. Oh, yeah. All he said was there was a sense Nate just wasn't overly thrilled with his experience in Colorado,
What?
and wants to explore other options.
I
But I
mean,
feel like that is crazy. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
he's an RFA. Could be, at the very least. Look.
I mean, well,
Is
he's a
he?
free agent next year,
Oh, okay.
right? He's a UFA next year. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, he's
I
UFA next
totally
year.
forgot that was part of a Kyprios thing that had just a bunch of guys who could be traded, and it was like like Morgan Riley was on there, and it's like I just I just do not. I mean, if the Leafs trade Morgan Riley, like you're gonna have
Why?
to get Morgan Riley to waive his no trade clause to leave Toronto, which I would be stunned if he did that. I would
He
be
already
blown
put
away.
like in the last 2 years of his contract, he voided that. Like, not that he voided it, but it only lasts until the last 2 years of his contract. So if it was becoming a burden on the team, they would have the flexibility to do that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
I'm looking
think
at Puckpedia.
I think he's an underutilized member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, yeah, is he a true number one defenseman? No, but could he be way more impactful if they let him play Morgan Riley hockey? Absolutely. They just
Probably.
have made
Yeah.
him kind of this sitting lame duck now who is dumping the puck out. He was better in the playoffs, though, to be fair to him. So I like Morgan Riley,
Yeah.
and I think he gets a little too much hate. Is he the best defensive player in the world? God, no. Definitely not. But he's definitely a useful player.
Yeah. For sure. So, oh yes, Thomas is here. Yeah, Broad Street Hockey. Give him a little sub because he's always a lot of fun. Hello, Thomas. But anyway, yeah, I mean, so
And there's some coaching
gotta be
changes that
really.
happened as well that I think people
Yes,
also
I think
want
we
us.
got some
We
questions
did.
about that.
So yeah,
But
let's
yeah,
transition into it now then.
let's do that. Yeah, so let's do that and move on. But yeah, I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe Morgan Riley gets traded for Marco Rossi and Elias Pettersson in the same trade somehow. I don't know.
It
Who
won't,
knows?
no. It's not gonna happen.
And then Toronto somehow manages to create like $8 million in cap space. Anyway,
Jason Robertson's been linked with the Leafs, and I'm like, well, maybe you play Nick Robertson a lot more
Dude.
first before you try and go get his brother. But
I mean,
I don't know that. Like, I like Jason Robertson, but he's not what they need.
I think, and dude, could you imagine Jason Robertson in Toronto and what Oscar from Bowmanville will think watching Jason Robertson play? Like, I don't think he's what Toronto fans think they want, right? Like, I don't think
I
that's
like
what
him.
Toronto. I do too. I'm just saying, like,
But
him in Toronto.
He's not gonna push pace the way that this team
No.
needs a guy to. Like, I think
He's not.
I think he fits really well on Dallas because he's just a really good offensive weapon, right? But like,
Right.
there's a pace problem in Toronto at the moment, and I feel like you'd be better off not trading anything and just saying, "Hey, Nick Ehlers, if Mitch Marner's not coming back, please come play here."
Right. Right.
And yeah, that might have also been a Kyprios rumor, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? But at the end of the day, yeah, let's get into some of this.
Let's do it.
And get in there. So yeah, thoughts on the Penguins' new hire, Dan Muse. I mean, yeah, I like the idea of picking him up because I remember I've seen Muse mostly with the junior team, like the NTDP, through their probably golden years, I guess you could say, like 21, 22, 23. He had some pretty incredible names on the roster there. But he's got tons of experience, right? Like he's coached the NCAA as an assistant coach. He's coached in the USHL. He's coached. He was with the Predators and then went back to the USHL, and now he went back to the Rangers, and now he's with the Penguins as a head coach. Look, like I am all for it because Muse has a long track record of like being with pretty successful teams, and being with good programs, and so it makes sense for me that also Kyle Dubas is dipping his toe into more of a, I guess you could say, unconventional pool of talent. Like Muse is 42, right? He's not that old, and obviously there's no experience as an NHL head coach here, but someone's got to get those opportunities at some point.
Yeah.
And I think for Muse, like, say what you will about the Rangers, this year he was an assistant coach there and an assistant coach with the Rangers the year before that, and the Rangers obviously haven't been incredible the last couple of years, but I don't think you can put that at his feet, right?
Well,
Like
year
I think it's
before
more
they won the President's Trophy, if I'm not
they
mistaken.
did. That's true. Yes, they did.
But they weren't a very
They weren't that.
convincing.
Oh,
They weren't a very
yeah, they
convincing
weren't that.
President's Trophy winner, in my opinion.
Mm-mm.
What was his capacity in like as a coach in the Rangers system? Because if it's special teams, then you should feel pretty good about it because they did pretty well with that for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I hope what I guess I'm saying is like I hope that this is more of an indicator of like okay, so it looks like he was coaching the penalty kill.
That I think they had a really good penalty kill the past couple of
Right.
years. I'll make sure so I don't sound like an idiot, though sometimes it's not.
It's impossible not to
It's
sometimes,
impossible
right?
not to, yes.
But at the end of the day, like yeah, like I mean it's very Kyle Dubas coded, right? Like Dubas and the Chicago Steel, they have a long history together. The NTDP, obviously everybody knows the NTDP and everybody loves it, and he coached some of the best guys to come out of the NTDP probably ever. And so yeah, I mean, giving him a chance. I hope that what this is, my hunch is that Kyle Dubas, not a stupid person, sees that the Pittsburgh Penguins are entering a period of like transition where, like Dan Muse is 5 years older than Sidney Crosby, right? Like there's going to be this like leadership by committee type thing, I think, where the Pittsburgh Penguins, maybe they recover and do a good job next year and push for a playoff spot or something or whatever. But I hope this is like you have him here in the job. He's the right guy. Hey, he's got my birthday too. That's fun.
It's all
And I think
about his name
exactly
and his birthday.
Dan Muse and Tinus Luke Koblar. Name a better duo. I'll wait. But anyway, yeah. So I think that if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm sort of thinking from the perspective of like, yeah, we're going to be transitioning into a bit of a new era of Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. They've got some young players who are up on the roster, and they're going to be drafting more. It's almost a certainty, I would say, from here. So you're going to have a younger team at some point, and having Muse here for an extended period of time, like the track record is good. He's been all over the place already with tons of experience as an assistant coach and a bit here as a head coach. Well, actually quite a bit as a head coach, I should say. He's coached like plenty of guys. I think that also would include Rucker McGroarty. So there's that as well. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. And so I don't really think anything bad about this. And I would much rather see NHL teams with this sort of transitory environment go for something that they do believe really fits. Like I would anytime, if I'm a GM hiring a coach, I would absolutely be very patient about who I hire and what I'm looking for in a coach and how they coach. And so if he's doing that, then he's doing if
until Greg
Dubas
Reback interviewed with us, and then we'd have to take Greg.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the Martin St. Louis poll.
We
A Columbus, Ohio high school coach.
We have to take him.
Yeah. We're obligated. And then he's just showing on the Jumbotron video of Lane Hudson, and he's going, "Be more like this guy," and that's all he does.
So I looked at the Rangers' penalty kill percentage in the last 2 years, 80% and 83%. They were like 11th this year with 80, but like I don't think a team had higher like it wasn't that far off number one, even like maybe 3 or 4 percentage points. And then the year
Yeah.
before, 83, they were third in the league. You guess who was first both those years, Will?
In the penalty kill?
It's a team you like.
The Kings?
No,
I don't know.
Carolina.
Oh, well, okay. That makes sense. That checks out. That checks out. Okay. Let's continue. Let's move on here.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with him.
Okay. Yeah. So Caleb Denoyer revealed that he's been playing with injuries to both of his wrists since November.
Oy.
Does that change your thoughts on his season and how impressive it is?
Does it?
I got to be careful. I got to be careful about how to answer this question because like it is obviously a factor, but like does that
That
mean
doesn't affect his pace.
no, like the
Shouldn't that
bigger
much.
issue I have with him is not really his hands. If anything, like that's a really good indicator because that's something that he was quite good at this year. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm never a fan of playing through injuries anyway in the first place, but whatever. The point I guess I'm going to get at is like the draft, especially if you have a really high draft pick, is so much about risk management and like are you gonna like people are talking about Caleb Denoyer like he might be a top 3 guy. Like are you going to take the risk because I genuinely, based on his play this year, he's in my top 15, I think, or whatever. And I like him. He's a good player. But I don't think you can really accurately gauge the upside in his game if you haven't seen him play 100% healthy since November. And so if you're okay with taking on that risk as high as third overall, I mean, more power to you. I mean, good luck. I mean that positively, right? Like it's like, okay, like if you believe that, then take the risk, right? I just with him, I feel very similarly to him as I did at the Holinka and in last season when I watched him too, where it's like clearly an extremely, extremely smart player. And clearly a player who reads the game really, really well and all of that stuff. But I think that the feet are a bit of a limitation. And again, it's like we're not really here discussing if he's good or not, right? Like I don't think that's the discussion. But the discussion is in a group of say 10 even out there in the world that you could have a pick of, is he going to be the one? Is he going to be the one that you really, really love? And I just don't know the answer to that question, right? Like I think I've seen a lot more certainty in other players. And so I don't know. Maybe it's gonna be a thing where teams like it's all it takes is one team, really. And if I'm working for a team, I haven't loved him so much this year that I go, okay, like if it's just a wrist injury or both wrists, then that automatically means that there's this much headroom in his game that hasn't been explored or wasn't available or whatever. I just like maybe, but I still think that the problems are more than just located in his wrists in his game. But again, you have to be really careful because I'm not trying to say I don't like him as a player. It's just a matter of like the risk and where you're taking him, really, right? Like obviously it makes it a little more enticing to take him, but I still feel like he is part of a larger group that's a little further back from the top end of the draft that, you know, back half of the top 10, sure, I could be easily convinced to do it. But I don't think he's going to last until that point. Thoughts on Marco Sturm as the new head coach in Boston? Yeah, I mean, Sturm has less of a track record than Muse. You know, got to start coaching and managing German teams over in Germany. I guess that would be with the German national team, I should say, the national program. So you kind of have to go off of his experience with LA. And I think I mean, you watch the LA Kings play hockey and then you go watch the Boston Bruins play hockey. And I think there are some easy comparisons to make there between the two. You look at the types of players that that Los Angeles has been like developing in the minor leagues and elevating them into the NHL, like does Samuel Hellenius strike you as a player that would be a Boston Bruin? Yes, I would say the answer to that is an easy yes. So that's a player that Los Angeles has developed and elevated through the system and put in the NHL. And who's coaching their AHL team? Marco Sturm. So I feel like it is an interesting hire. Again, I will never, ever, ever fault a team thinking outside the box and going, yeah, a coach younger than 50 with no head coaching experience. And again, I am hopeful that Boston is doing the same thing Pittsburgh is doing, where they are going. I mean, they did this with their player personnel, but like getting younger, getting more sort of modernized and really sort of refocusing and reformatting and going, okay, it's not about next season. We don't want to pick up a, I know he's already hired, but we don't want to go out and get like a Joel Quenneville and try to make the playoffs, right? Like it's going to be, we're going to put in a guy that we really believe is the right person for the job, a person who has a bit of a track record with the types of players that we really want to value, and give him a transitory period, right? Like sign up for a few years, develop the sort of next generation look Boston Bruins, whatever that might be. I think we saw hints of it with some of the trades they made over the course of the season. There's still a lot more work to do, I think, if you're Boston.
They also have a ton of cap space.
Yep, ton of cap space.
I swear to God, if I see Mitch Marner in a Boston Bruins jersey, I'm gonna lose.
Oh my God,
mind.
could you imagine? Could you imagine?
I don't want to. I really don't want to. Thank you very much.
God, wow, yeah. That I never thought about that, but I don't think it'll happen. I don't know if that'll happen.
Will, they have $26 million in cap space, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe they've got plenty of looks at him, right? They've seen him a ton, so maybe. But yeah, I don't really have
him
any
in the
problem.
first round if he's on their team. Like,
yeah. So I don't have a problem with it. And I have to trust that the Boston Bruins, they, again, like I'm always skeptical of NHL teams that get rid of a coach and then have the next guy in a press conference like the next day, right? I mean, Jim Montgomery, I think, is an example of maybe where it worked, where they kind of always wanted Jim Montgomery, and once he became available, they picked him up. But for Boston, yeah, I mean, I think that it's always the way to go, especially if you fire your coach at the end of a season. It's like you kind of look around, take your time, look under rocks, take a look at what's possible, and find the person that you really believe will help you get through the next few years and develop young players as best as they can, because that's going to be the most important thing for Boston, I think, from here until arguably the end of the decade. I would say, like, the next 3, 4, 5 years, I think, are going to be very, very important for teams like Boston and Pittsburgh and who else? Like,
Boston's in a weird kind of spot, though. Like, they don't have centers, which is weird because they've had centers my whole life. Like, I feel like they've always been pretty loaded in that position, and it's pretty barren. Like, Elias Lindholm had his best season in Calgary next to Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk, who were two superstar players at the time. Like, Matthew Tkachuk, obviously, still.
Yep.
But, like, if you put him with two really excellent players, he can thrive in a center role. It's just he's going to be the F3 for sure.
Yeah.
And that's mainly going to be his role. He will get sneeze points.
Yep.
So I don't know.
I mean,
it could work.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any. I mean, I just think that like teams like those, arguably the Islanders, maybe. Who else? I mean, Nashville started that process last year, I think. Philadelphia has been kind of in the middle of it. Who knows what's going to happen to the Rangers in the next few years, but like
they're going to keep going for it. Like
I mean, yeah, but I mean, are they going to get there, right? Like, are they going to be at a point? Are they going to get at a point? Are they going to be at a point where it's like, okay, are they going to be Boston, right? Where it's like, okay, we kind of have to start thinking about like switching things around, right? Like maybe changing gears a little. But yeah, I mean,
Brad Treliving, please don't be accepting any Chris Kreider trades. I do not want him. He is not very good. Anymore.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So for me, it's like I don't mind these kinds of things, and so I have to give them credit, right? Like it's more difficult to do, and it's riskier on paper. But I mean, in my opinion, it's not. But
you could end up with Ralph Kruger, or you could end up with something way better.
Exactly, right? So, I do believe personally that in this day and age, a lot of, obviously you have to have a good understanding of structure and a good understanding of how to draw up a good play and use your players to their best advantage and whatever. But I mean, the biggest thing so often is just getting your guys to be motivated to play and buy into what you're trying to get them to do
Yeah.
and really show up every single shift and build some sort of an environment where everybody wants to play for everyone else in the room. Like that makes a huge difference when you're a coach and a leader in a room, right? Like it's not necessarily always about the X's and O's and all that stuff. Obviously, you need that stuff.
Culture is very important. It's like
But yeah, like
I've started this new job and my boss is phenomenal. This guy just anytime I do something wrong, he just talks about it with me like
yeah,
quietly, never throws me under the bus, and he really cares about me, and that matters. Like
yeah,
I want to go out there and put forward my best work for that person because
yeah.
he's great.
Yeah, like in my life, I've had jobs that the work itself is fine. Like I don't mind it at
Yeah.
all. But the leadership above me is terrible. I've had the opposite where I despise the work that I do and the leadership above me is really good. Like, but I've had the combination of both too, where the people above me I really, really respect and really like, and I do like what I do. And I've had the opposite where I'm miserable and the people above me are miserable and everything is miserable. And it's like the quality of your work or the not the quality of your work, the quality of the your satisfaction, I guess I should say, with what you do is, in my experience, like way less impactful on you than it is like who you do it for,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that that is like, and that to me is like what good leadership is, like creating an environment where it's like not always about like, oh, we need this result and I'm going to do whatever it takes to like get this result. It's like you have to set a good foundation and the results will take care of themselves. Like that's kind of the approach. And so I'm hopeful that this kind of a thing, they're going, yeah, we trust guys like Dan Muse and Marco Sturm to over the next few years, like create that sort of foundational thing. And it's what David Carl has talked about for years about why he loves working at Denver and not taking an NHL job because most NHL jobs are not structured to be that way. So for him, and these other guys, it's like they're being brought into this environment that's going to be more about the team as a whole, like the franchise
And
and
fit
long term.
matters too. Like
And yeah, and fit matters big time.
you have to find a a place that really does blend or jive with what or who you are sometimes too, and like how you think.
Right.
Because
Like,
I love working for Will. Will is a great person to work for. He's one of the more understanding people I've ever met, and I really appreciate working with him because he's like sometimes I don't do things, and it's not that I don't want to do them, but sometimes I just don't. Things come up and whatever. Will's just super understanding and really great about it. So like I love working for Will, but it
oh,
matters. I'm gonna give you a glowing endorsement, man. You
I
know.
guess I do what I can.
I know, but it matters to me, right? Like,
Right.
and
And that's the thing.
you need people to care about the people who are working under them and working for them because
Yeah.
it really does, I think, create positive results. And you're
Yeah.
more likely to succeed as a group when you have buy-in and just an
Yeah.
understanding.
Well, yeah, and it's like it's so funny too. Like I find that we live like the era in which we live is really interesting, especially as someone who works a lot with data
Yeah.
and really trying to see how things happen, whether it's somewhere in the world or in hockey or another sport or something, and really trying to understand like the holes that there might be, right? So for example, like what I'm talking about is like like is there such a thing as having enough data literacy around the table, so to speak, like that the only way to find improvements on other situations is like to sort of ignore data and try things, right? Like, it's like saying all these potential head coach candidates. It's like, look at all the success they've had in the NHL, right? So you look at that and go, all right, we're going to give an opportunity to Ken Hitchcock because he has this track record and like it's proven and all this stuff. It's like okay, like you could do that, sure, or it's like we have so much data out there on like how to market things to people and how to sell things to people and the kinds of social media posts people engage with, that it's like, do you kind of does it kind of stale things? Like, does it make everything very stale and very stuck in a certain way, right? Like a analysis paralysis is what I call it, where it's like
Yeah.
you're studying things so much that you end up really not doing much. Or like at an office job, it's like you spend so much time planning and projecting and modeling that you never actually do any work that actually make those results good.
Right.
Like, and so when I do my work with the junior players and everything, it's like I look at the data, I have it in front of me. I've built programs that like take my data, parse through it, and make text summaries of it, right? Like that's fine and dandy. That's cool. But does it line up with the more subtle nuances that are there that could really change things one way or the other? No, not always. And so it's really important to sort of step in and go, yeah, I know the data is saying this, but like, I don't think it's quite that way because of X, Y, and Z, right?
Data
So,
is just a snapshot in time. Like,
yeah,
that's what it is. It's a snapshot in time. It's just capturing something in the moment that is present,
yeah,
as opposed to it can help extrapolate a bigger picture, but there's always more context needed in all of
yeah.
it.
And it's kind of why this is a little off topic, but it's kind of why I love the Dune universe so much. Cause like it kind of is the opposite environment to in which what we live in right now, right? Like if you're unfamiliar, like if you haven't read the books, like the Dune universe is set in a world where computers are illegal. Like machines that think are illegal. And it's because humanity got to a point where they were very docile and subservient to machinery and very reliant on not using their own abilities or their own brains to do whatever. And there was this like political movement that like destroyed all the thinking machines, right? And so, not saying that's what we need to do, but the Dune universe is set in a
Angry
world where,
mob.
yeah, exactly, where everything is based around like a person's capabilities. Like people spend their entire lives studying how to do math in their head, and they become like human calculators, like human computers. And so it's like that is a very interesting way to sort of see things, is like, well, yeah, like there's a human aspect to all of this stuff, and finding the balance between like utilizing data and information to your most highest advantage while also really sort of thinking outside the box and creatively to sort of push things in in a more positive direction, as opposed to just chasing the things that make that positive result from what you see, you know. So that's kind of the fascinating thing. And so I think this is kind of like a microcosm of that, where teams are going, no, like we're going to take a guy who was coaching the USNTDP team 3 seasons ago, right? Like, sure, we're going to take a chance on a guy who was coaching the German under 20 team 8 years ago. You know, it's like, yeah, if we think it's the right person for the job, we're going to go for it and see how it goes. And I hope it works. I'm hopeful
Yeah.
because I love when this kind of thing happens. And yeah, so far so good. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I think these teams made the right move. And yeah, that's 2 questions down. We can now get into the other ones.
In
Um,
summation, points don't
yay.
matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whoever scores the least is the best. That's what we're getting
Exactly.
at. Yeah, exactly. Is Cullen Potter comparable to Jet Luchenko? Is that high end effort and skating that gets me there? If so, who would you rank higher? I don't think Cullen Potter is the same. I think Potter is like he's faster and I think a better shooter, but I think Luchenko's vision and passing ability and ability to sort of play faster and slower is a little bit better. I still probably bet on the tools of a Potter a little bit more long term, projecting to the NHL. But Luchenko wouldn't be that far behind. I don't think he'd be that far behind. Like if Jed Luchenko, from what I saw last year, and keep in mind, excuse me, he was one of the youngest players available in the draft last year. So like he's probably a few weeks or a month younger than guys like Victor Eklund and Bill Zonon and Roger McQueen and Shane Vinsagi and Malcolm Spence and Keishon Aitchison. Like he's very close in age to those guys. And if he had the season he just had from the games that I saw, like would he be in my top 10? Yeah, I think so. Very, very easily. I think he probably would find himself at 8 behind Anton Frundell for me. Like right now, my list is Schaefer, Misa, Hagens, Eklund, Martone, Potter, and I think I'd put Luchenko after that, or after Frondell, who comes next. Like, I really do like Luchenko, and considering he just had the season he had, he would be up there. Good player, loves the game, good player.
Yeah, and the age
Using
difference is about 3 months between Potter and Luchenko. Like it's around
right,
there.
yeah. So yeah,
4 months.
but we're talking like matter of weeks between him and some of the guys that might go top 10 this year, like McQueen or Aitchison or like Eklund. Like he's really close to those guys. Using your crystal ball. Oh, where's my crystal ball? Actually, I do have
Your
rock.
Andrew Crystal Ball.
My mom gave me this for Christmas. It's a rock. I got a rock for Christmas, by the way. But she calls it a crystal, so I keep it on my desk because I love my mom.
Yeah, I do the
so
same because my mom bought me something similar. Like, okay, thanks.
I'm gonna look into this. I'm gonna look into this rock real close and answer this question. Will he be better or worse or in the same tier as each defenseman? And literally just lists every defenseman that has ever existed. Dahlin, I put him behind Schaefer. Heiskanen, Dahlin ahead of Schaefer. Heiskanen ahead of Schaefer. I think Werenski and Schaefer have a lot of similarities. I think I would say that Schaefer kind of reminds me of like a Werenski or a Dougie Hamilton type player.
So maybe that's where his ceiling is, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. I'd say like I could see Schaefer like Werenski was always a good defenseman for Columbus, but then he's kind of popped off in the last couple of seasons, and I could see something like that for Schaefer, where
because he's not in hurt.
Well, that too, right? Like that doesn't. And look, Schaefer's also injured, right? So who knows? Sanderson, oh man, Sanderson's a tougher one because he's a different type of player. I might still prefer Schaefer. Yossi, I take Yossi, but again, like there's shades of a similar-ish player, but I still go with Yossi. Doughty, I probably go Schaefer, but I also don't really remember that much of Doughty when he was like 20. I don't really remember him that much there. Ekblad, I think I might lean Schaefer. Luke Hughes, I'll go Schaefer. Bouchard, probably Schaefer, but that's a close one too. Letang, again, I think is kind of in a similar world as Schaefer, but I probably go with. It's tough because Letang has also been in a different environment with
and
some of the
a
greatest
different
of all
era
time.
as well.
Yeah, I might go Schaefer there, and Hamilton. Like I'd say Hamilton and Werenski are probably the closest ish type of player there. And I do think there's a lot to love about Schaefer. And I think if he has a season to reboot from injury and just give him some time, again, look at how young he is. Like he's almost a 2026 guy. Like it's crazy. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because a lot of those guys also play differently. If Edmonton wins, I want to see a postcard of Jake Wallman holding the cup surrounded by a big heart and sent to the Detroit Red Wings. Yeah. Oh boy.
Being gritty on the Red Wings logo.
Yeah, hit the gritty. Yeah. Who has a higher floor, Schaefer or Misa? Probably Schaefer. And I say that because, yeah, I think that's because Misa, like, I do think that it is a legitimate critique when you look at the off-puck game for Misa that isn't just putting himself in the right spots all the time. Now, I'm not saying that he needs to be throwing hits all day, but he is not the most physically engaged guy I've seen, right? Like, he is very much he might be the best floater I've ever seen in my life. And then when he gets the puck, he's off like a shot. Like,
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of hard to say. Whereas Schaefer, like, as an offensive defenseman, in the very least, like, it's very easy to see him being a very effective offensive NHL defenseman with how he generates his offense.
Do you worry about the intensity level of Misa, like, in the game?
Yeah, like,
not that he doesn't, like, and when we say intensity, it's not that these guys don't care. All right, like, I want to put that out there, but like, you can tell, like, you look at Connor McDavid, that guy is intense. That guy is just on a mission all the time. I'm gonna score, like that kind of mentality.
And I mean, sorry.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Does that?
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. Like, I think that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I love Michael Misa. I think that. Look, I mean, I was talking to someone the other day, and like, I don't think this is going to happen. But I mean, stranger things have happened. but like with all the like there's a lot of chatter already about at the
Ugh,
combine,
chatter.
and I know I can't help myself, and I also know you hate it.
You
But like
awful Canadian.
yes, yes. But I can just like like guys like Anton Frondel, Brady Martin, Caleb Desnoyers, they are making waves. Like they are
Ugh,
impressing NHL teams.
didn't like that
And
either.
dude, what do you want me to say? Like they are impressing people.
There we go.
Um,
That's a little better.
so to me, it's like, are we going to end up in a world where teams look at a guy who doesn't really play much of a physical brand of hockey as a center and go, yeah, you scored 134 points this year, but who are we going to win in the playoffs with? Michael Misa, who might get pushed around and not pushed back, or an Anton Frondel, or
And if I'm Michael
Caleb
Misa,
Desnoyers.
I put my Memorial Cup ring on my middle finger and stick it up. When I get asked that question about can I win or not.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, so to me, it's like I don't count with the draft. In my experience, I don't count anything out ever
Yeah.
at all. And so for me, it's like if I see a guy like Schaefer, probably I still think goes first. But if I see a guy like Michael Misa go like fourth or fifth, at this point, it wouldn't surprise me based on how much I've seen all of these guys. Would I do that? No, I think Misa is pretty clearly the second most talented player in this draft, and I'd bet on his long term success. But I mean, considering how these other guys play and how pretty effective they are at it, I just recorded my Brady Martin report, and there's, I mean, like, I
Has he
mean, I
won
wouldn't
you
do it.
over? Has he won you over a bit?
No,
No,
like,
I mean like has he won you over more as a player and a projectable guy? Like somebody
yeah,
are you
yeah,
more you're more interested in him now. That's what I mean by has he
right.
won you over?
I still think he's got limitations in terms of
Sure.
like upside and like I don't think he's going to be a top 6 guy, but I mean maybe like he at times he plays like he wants to be one, but I don't think he's quite there yet. And maybe he could get there, right? But the physical tools and the foundational sort of energy in his game, you could make the argument it's higher than Misa's. But is that really like I don't think we're looking at that type of a player in Michael Misa, and I think we're looking at more of a I don't know, like a Sidney Crosby type guy where it's just like, yeah, like Sidney Crosby's not known for throwing hits every game. Like that's not his jam. Like especially when he was young. Like that's not really his style. But the skill level and like the efficiency and the creativity and the vision and timing are elite. And like and so it's like, do we really criticize a guy like a Sidney Crosby for like maybe not being able to win in the playoffs because he is whatever?
Well, you don't because he's got 3 Stanley Cups, right?
Exactly. Right? Exactly. So I feel like we might be in a world where teams are talking themselves out of a couple of guys like Eklund, Hagen, sorry, Martone, and maybe even Michael Misa. I don't know. But like there was
They talked
another
themselves out of
person.
Martone for that reason?
Well, I was just going to say, I talked to someone as well today, and they were saying that like the words that they would use to describe it are actually, let me just pull it up. Let me just check because it was a good way to put it. But it was, pardon me, one moment. Something, oh
Because
my God.
having met Porter, he strikes me as a person that is just so driven to win.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think number one, so the way it was put to me was overexposure bias. And so and we kind of talked about this at a previous show. It's like there's a lot of people talking about how good Brady Martin was at the under 18s, and granted, he was pretty good. But like, does that
So shiny new toy type thing.
right? But also like, does that negate what James Hagens did at the under 18s last year and the World Juniors this year, literally 6 months ago,
That's
right?
fair.
Like, so, but the problem is like guys like Brady Martin haven't been at the forefront of people's scouting world like for 4 years, like Martone and Hagens and Misa have. So it's like, do you start to overthink it a little bit and go, well, like we've seen this guy so many times when he can poke holes in his game here and here and here. So like, but then this other guy like recently has just gotten so good and yada yada yada. So like maybe is there a chance that this guy is actually more desirable and going to be better in the playoffs or whatever? Like I don't know, but this is the part of scouting that like is very dangerous to me, right? Like where you start to get right down to the point and you start going, yeah, maybe, but like, what about this? Or maybe this, and I don't know. I prepare myself for anything, honestly. And so there's a lot of stuff going on. And I look at a guy like Martone, and I would agree that with you, what you just said, like he comes off in a way that I think would appeal to NHL teams. But I do think NHL teams look at the position a player plays,
Oh,
right?
for
Like
sure.
I think they look at him as a winger and go, push comes to shove, are we taking a winger or a center? And I bet you most teams would go take the center.
Yeah.
Right. So that could be the difference between Porter Martone going fifth or Jake O'Brien going fifth, or an Anton Frondel going third, Caleb Desnoyers going third.
Yeah, I
fourth,
think
right?
centers are going to be reached on again this year.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be
big
defensemen.
right.
I mean,
well, there still will be right hand shot big right hand shot defensemen, and right hand shot centers as well. Like,
yes, yep,
everybody wants
100%.
right centers.
Yep, 100%. So yeah, I mean,
David
I hope that
Kampf
answers
makes
the
money
question.
he does.
Yeah. Thoughts on Bill Zonon and Xavier Villeneuve
I
next
think he's
year?
Let me make sure he's right-handed
Who?
before I say that. David Kampf. I think he is.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, Bill Zonon, Bill Zonon, for anyone who doesn't know, got traded for 3 first-round picks and another player. He's going to Blainville-Boisbriand, and he's going to play with Justin Carbonneau and Xavier Villeneuve, and it's going to be awesome. I cannot wait to see that. It's going to be great. Villeneuve might be one of my favorite players for next year. As of right now, I can't wait to see him next year. Like if Villeneuve were available this year, he might be my number 2 defenseman available, maybe 3, but at least top 5 at the very least. Like he's amazing.
Okay, I'm a dummy. He's a left-handed center.
Okay, there you go.
Never mind.
Which development path would be best for McKenna? NCAA or back to the dub? I would say NCAA, right? Like he already has like 300 career points in the WHL, and like
that's disgusting.
I'd push him and go NCAA. Like you've gotten yourself a WHL championship. I don't think that's a team that is going to be that much worse next year with everybody who could come back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, okay, sorry, not 300 points, but he's got 244 points in 133 WHL games.
That is disgusting.
Plus another 45 in 25 playoff games.
Yeah,
so
dude,
that's
stop
almost
punching
300.
below your weight. Move up.
Like I would want to see it. And he's also barely eligible for next year's draft. Like he's a December 2007. So I would tell him to go to college, push yourself, because if I'm an NHL scout and I see a 6 foot kind of skinny looking kid who can dangle the pants off of everybody in the WHL, I'm looking at him and I'm going, I want to see you playing against like filled out adults, like young adults who are playing college hockey, right? Like, and it's going to be great hockey next year. Like if you just want to play good hockey, it's going to be in the NCAA, not in the WHL, I don't think. I mean, the WHL will still be good, but the NCAA next year is going to be insane. Okay. Would you rather have Matt Savoy or Brad Lambert in fantasy? I mean, it depends. I don't know. I don't think either of them are going to be super impactful anytime soon in fantasy hockey, but Savoy will play sooner, I think.
I think they're similar value for now.
Yeah, similar, I'd say, yeah. Would taking Lyndon Lakovic in the top 5 be a mistake? Well, that's hard to say. I hate to keep saying this, but I was also talking to someone the other day about Lyndon Lakovic because it came up. Because I love him. I think he's great. And I think he has tons of upside. And this other person was like, yes, everything you're saying about him is correct, except coaches are going to either pull their hair out about him or he's going to learn a lot over the next few years. And I agree with that as well, right? Like he's a guy who is big and has tons of skill and tons of talent and tons of everything, but it comes and goes. Like he can sort of fade into the background off the puck. I did a report on him that's on the way, and his defensive numbers and off puck numbers are underwhelming, I would say. And the big negative that I noted in the stuff that I have on him was mostly defensive intensity and using his size to his advantage physically, especially, but just in general.
That stuff can be learned, though.
That can be learned, but that's the thing. You're taking on the risk that he can learn those things because, again, we're talking a winger in the top 5, and you're saying no to guys like Martone, probably Hagens, and there are teams that are definitely going to want guys like Frondel, Desnoyers, all these guys. It's gonna be a hard sell, and I feel like Lakovic, like there's a chance he slips, right? Like I feel like teams look at him and go, okay, you're 6'4", but for what, right? Like we don't see you using it. We don't see this. We don't see that. What makes you think that we're going to trust you to like basically learn how to care more? To put it bluntly, like if you're a team, you're going to push them, and and all teams have to do is go, we like this other guy better. We think he fits better. We like him because he's a center or a right shot D, whatever. And Lakovic ends up going 20th, right? Like
No,
maybe
he'll go to the Penguins. That's my guess.
I mean, that's what I did in the mock draft the other day.
That's what I think. I think Kyle
we'll
Dubas
see.
and Wes Clark will be thrilled to pick him up.
All over that. Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. But yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's as easy as saying, well, top 5 would be a mistake. I think it could look really good in retrospect because of how talented he is.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a ways to go to like hit his ceiling. Isn't the rumor he's going to the NCAA? Yes, Gavin McKenna, I believe, is what we were talking about there. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I would love to see him in the NCAA though. Tanner Lamb thoughts. I love Tanner Lamb. I think he's so much fun. I just don't know if he's an NHL player. Like he's small, looks small, kind of plays small, but he is fast and dynamic and shifty and lots of fun to watch. But like, again, like maybe he's a guy that later on in the draft you look at and he's like, yeah, he's probably the more high paced, exciting type player out there. So maybe we take a chance on him. But he's not there for me. Like he's not on my list. I just don't know if I would see an NHL guy there. And there's probably just going to always be guys I think are more projectable on my list available. But he's one where I like him, and so if I'm part of a team and everybody seems to love him and it's the late rounds and they go, yeah, why not? I go, all right, sure, why not? Unless there's someone who I really, really, really love still available. Jason Robertson is good. Nick Robertson sucks. Yeah, well,
you're getting banned. Opinion, you're getting banned.
Yeah, ban hammer. Thoughts on the Armada picking up Zonin and Gill? Yeah, I mean, Gill I thought was too old, but there's a lot of Gills out there. Yeah, I thought anyway. Yeah, I mean, I know way more about Zonin. I love him, so it's gonna be fun. Paterka for Rossi plus and maybe Ogren seems to benefit all parties. Am I wrong? I don't think. I mean, Buffalo. I don't think Minnesota is trading Liam Ogren. I think that's exactly I mean, who knows though? He's another sub 6 foot guy who plays hard nosed hockey, and Bill Guerin seems to not care about the first or the second part if you have the first part. So maybe they do want to get rid of Ogren, but I can't imagine Buffalo wants to get rid of Paterka at all. I mean, he's one of the only guys who seems to be like really consistently performing and seems to like it there, I think. But Rossi Ogren is also a lot for Minnesota to give up. Like, would I do it if I'm Buffalo? Probably. I'd think about it pretty good, but I don't know. Like,
I mean, if JJ doesn't want to be there, then yeah.
Yeah, if he doesn't want to be in Buffalo, then yes, you do it. But you're sort of taking advantage of Bill Guerin's mentality, right? Like, anyway, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Minnesota
honestly.
lets go Marco Rossi. Their fans are going to never let Bill Guerin live it down eventually. That is how I feel about it, because that dude rocks. And he should be their number one guy, or at least in their top 6.
Yeah.
Because he's really freaking good, and he's a center. And what types of players are going to be reached on in this draft? What types of players are always reached on? Centers. Is he small? Sure. But how many hockey pucks differences is it? Really? Because I love that analogy. I love that analogy. It's great. It's the width of a hockey puck.
Now I'm a good player. Like,
no, but you're 6. What?
I'm just saying if I'm 5'9", right? Yeah, I'm 6 feet.
I need 2 hockey pucks.
For real, actually, by the way, I will say, for real, not a liar.
I have met him. He is taller than I am 5'9 3/4.
Yes, I am a dense 6 feet. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I don't know. It is what this is just how it goes, right? It's funny. I was looking at, to pad out some time here. What was it? Was it this server.
I don't
in the
think we're gonna
Discord
need to
server.
pad out time.
No, I know. But oh yeah, here. Okay, so I found it. So like just talking about Marco Rossi a little bit, the guy who also kind of reminds me of a similar type thing where they have some. I mean, Marco Rossi's a bit of a better example of this, but you look at Eric Brandstrom and his career. Eric Brandstrom may very well have had the Brad. He might be the Brad Hunt of the 21st century here, or of the 2020s and 2010s, because I'm going to list off all of the guys that Eric Brandstrom has played with in his career. Okay. He started his career with Ron Hainsey. Then he went to Mark Borowicki. Then he went to Eric Goodbranson. Then he played a little bit with Artyom Zub and actually drove really good numbers. Then he played with Josh Brown. Then he played with Josh Holden. Then he played a stretch of games with Thomas Chabot. Then he played with Travis Hamonic. Then he played with Jacob Bernard Docker. Then he played with Vincent Desharnais. Those are all of the players that he played with, by and large. Obviously, there are others that he played a little bit with here, but like for stretches and long-term things, those are the guys he played with. So like, and he drove good results pretty much everywhere, especially after the first couple of years when he was in Ottawa. So does that mean, so what does that tell you, right? Like, I don't think that's a lot of guys that I would put a lot of faith in to be super, super high end NHL players that could play with a guy like Brandstrom, but they are perceived to be that way. So with Marco Rossi, it's like, yeah, I think that you're falling victim to that as well, where it's like you want a guy like a Josh Brown on your team because you perceive him to be a better option on your team, you know, or a Travis Hamonic or whatever, because you perceive them to be a better option because this other guy is kind of outside the realm of what's acceptable. And you might just see something you want to see, right? And so we'll see what happens. But Rossi and Ogren for Peterka would be quite sensational, I would say, overall. Caden Lindstrom is going to Michigan State next year. Thoughts? That team is going to be a wagon. That's my thought. Just a wagon of a hockey team. They are silly looking in terms of being a hockey team. You said you were hearing McQueen's injury was not a good one going forward, but was that based on the supposedly false bulging disc diagnosis? How does this change how you project him? So no, it was it was after he mentioned specifically the fracture as an injury. So I personally didn't know about the misdiagnosis part, but I did know that it was a fracture. But I mean, look, the thing for me is, again, it goes back to Desnoyers. It's a matter of risk management, right? McQueen has played not healthy for a calendar year, and he came back, played in the playoffs, and they took him out of the playoffs, right? And that was when I was talking to people, and a few different people said, like, it's troubling. Like, and maybe it's been long enough where teams forget the feeling they had when they went, oh, this guy might be a top 5 pick went back into hockey for playoff hockey and came out before the season was even over or before the series was even over. Okay. You know, like he's going to say he's healthy. He's participating in all of these physical things or whatever. It's just like, do you want to use a top 5 pick on that level of risk, right? Like there's no wrong answer, right? It's obviously going to be a situation where in hindsight, it's going to be something that people look back on, right? If he goes 4th overall and it turns out to be perfectly fine and he's everything everybody says he is, and he's this hyper elite, you know, physical 200-foot center that everybody dreams they ever had, right?
Here comes Will's hyperbole.
Exactly, right? But people have talked about him very, very glowingly.
Dude, you're going to always hear insane statements about how good players are. Always. Remember, but my favorite one, Owen Powers, Victor Hedman.
Right. But maybe he is. Let's say he is. Then people like me who go, boy, those injuries were a concern, are very, very wrong. Like just looking completely silly. But if he goes 20th overall because teams are afraid of the injury and he turns out to be perfectly fine and everything goes great, then again, you look silly. But like if you take him 5th overall, you know, it's kind of to me like I remember seeing a video years ago on YouTube about climate change and like whether or not you do something about it and what the outcome could be. So it's like if you're worried about climate change, but you do something about it and hedge your bets, whether you're right or wrong about the effects of climate change, you've made things better for your environment, right? Like your clean, your energy is cleaner, your cars are cleaner, your air is cleaner, your everything. It is a net benefit to life, right? In general, for the daily life of a human being. But if you don't do anything about it, you might be fine. You could be okay. You might make your bet and you win, right? But if you're wrong, the downside is really, really, really high. And if you take a guy like that super, super high, based on what I've seen of him, and it's the same thing with Dane Noyer, I think you are taking the risk of saying, yeah, like we're going to take a pick on a player that we think could really give our team a huge boost and bring something that we really have a hard time finding, and you whiff, that is a problem. And I feel like there are other places you can go that have shown, not only shown way better when they're healthy, but like just less risk. And so I don't know. I at that point I feel like if you're really interested in that, you may as well trade down. Like I don't know. It's a tough call because there's no way to know. There's no way to know right or wrong, right?
I feel
All
like
I know,
generally the best thing to do is just take the best player who falls to you instead of
right?
trading up or doing anything like that.
All I know, all I know is that, especially with McQueen, you have a 6'6" center who is pretty thin for a 6'6" guy. He's going to put more weight on from here, right? Like I added a for my prospect tracker, I added a BMI calculator, and McQueen is 22, which is among the lower BMIs in the draft, right? That's similar. It's a little bit better than
That's
Jake O'Brien.
that's similar to
Uh,
mine.
yeah, like Lakovic is a 22. Victor Eklund is a 22. Reddy Murtka is a 22, amazingly. Who else? Like I've got
Yeah,
Gustav
though
Billstrom down there. Like
22 is skinny because I am 21.8.
right. Anton Frondell is 26. James Hagen's 25. Logan Hensler 25. Like you're going to put more weight on Roger McQueen. Like he might be a 230-pound hockey player maybe by the time he's done developing. So you have a guy who has had back problems, who is going to be 230 pounds, 235 pounds playing ice hockey at a professional level, right? Like if you're okay taking the chance, right, then by all means go nuts. But I feel like my perspective is also valid where it's like I would rather see him like in our mock draft where Montreal has 2 back-to-back picks and one of them they got for Sean Monahan and it's like found money. And if McQueen is there because teams are a little spooked, 100% I could take the risk at that point. But
And they recouped 2 first-round picks out of Sean Monahan for having him for
right,
like 1 season. So like
right.
that is really found money. Go
It's
for
found
it.
money. Right. So who knows? But you run the risk of going, boy, that guy actually was one of the best guys in the draft. Like Matthew Nyes is the best example of that, right? Like he went at the end of the second round, but he had mono that year and a knee problem all year. So Toronto just sort of went, he fell to us, right? But if you drafted Matt Nyes at 5th overall, it's a massive risk at the time, but
Or
you would look
we
like a
can
genius.
and we can actually, because I didn't know where you were going with it, you can also look at who was taken 10th overall that year in Tyler Boucher.
Right.
And where's he?
Right. Another Matt, but I think he was also an injury player
Yes.
that year too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So
Dude, I didn't even
it goes
really.
both ways.
I was watching that class, and Tyler Boucher didn't even really pop up on my radar until like the last couple of weeks.
I don't
But
think that's the case. I think everybody felt that way. Like I don't think anybody was thinking about him anywhere close. Like I had him in my mid-second, late second round, and I just kind of went, yeah, he's all right, I guess, but whatever. Let's continue here. In the 2025 draft, what pick would you trade for Isaac Howard? 10, 12. Well, I mean, it's hard to say because it depends on who's there, right? Like, if I have an opportunity to take a Cullen Potter or a Victor Eklund, I probably am not trading my pick in that range. Maybe I'm, yeah. But yeah, like if I'm picking between like him or Carter Bear or Logan Hensler, it's like, yeah, sure, I'd probably go after Isaac Howard. But I would really put the gears on whoever had those picks, or whoever. I really put the gears on Tampa and see if I could get him for less than that, because why not, you know? But if
Also,
push
you'd
came,
have to see if he'd want to come to your
well, that too,
franchise as
yeah.
well. Like,
Yep.
that's a
All
big part
things
of it.
being equal, though, all things being equal, I would really consider it, but I would really prefer not to have to pay that. You
Yeah.
know, like it's like they don't have many cards in this situation, right? Like Isaac Howard could be a free agent next year. He's not going to play in the NHL if I have him anyway. So like, whether he, you know, I could pay nothing and sign him anyway next year. So why would I give you a top 15 pick and I could just take the risk and pick him up later? Or maybe there's a player you want off my roster or something. But if really, really push came to shove and the guys that I love this year are not there, then I guess I could do it as long as I knew he was going to sign. With Jake O'Brien, is it likely that he can learn to shoot more, or is that difficult to change at a player? I feel like the biggest concern for him is that he's not a dual threat offensive player. You're not wrong. I mean, I would. It's like a double-edged sword, right? Because his playmaking is the best part of his game, in my opinion, and his ability to make plays off of pressure is his best part of his game, and that's what I love about him. The thing is, though, I think you're right. Like, you can get away in the NHL being a bit not so much of a shooter, right? I think with O'Brien, the big thing would be like getting inside off the puck and sort of making more havoc in front of the net happen, because he is pretty tall, right? Like if he fills out a little bit from here, puts on some weight, like he could be a much better sort of scorer, so to speak, by just going to the net more. Um, and that's what I would want to see more of. But I mean, think about it. If you're, you know, if you're him, right? If you're a 17-year-old hockey player and an NHL coach comes up to you and is like, "Hey, man, you should probably shoot the puck more. You want to learn how to shoot the puck more? Like, let's work on that." Like, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of young hockey players who will go, "Wait, my coach wants me to shoot more? Okay, like I'll try that. Why
Yeah.
not?" Right? Like, sure. And he still scored 30 goals, right? Like he scored a lot of goals this year, right? Martone scored 37, albeit in more games, but like he's scored a lot of goals. Um, so for me, I look at that and I go, yeah, like if that's a thing, sure. My big thing with O'Brien is like the pace of his game again. Like, is that really enough to be like a top six center in the NHL? And I feel like with him, it's more like middle six, like really good third line offensive center, or a pretty good second line offensive center, or something like that. I don't know. But at the end of the day, like O'Brien is a good player. And I think the bigger thing I'd focus on, especially with his size, is off puck, go to the net, do the things that lead to goals in the NHL more than anything. 50% of his points were on the power play. Is that a problem for you? Well, I mean, I'll say this. I have him lower than the rest of the world. Like I've got him at 13. And on average, his rank is about 10 now. So I have him lower than most. And part of that is that, right? Like he's a player who really relies on uh skating into pressure and working off of it really well, which can be successful at times, but in the NHL is really hard to do. That's the part that kind of concerns me, right? Like, I think he plays a projectable game, but I'm not sure it's more than like a third line center. Like, but a good one. So yeah, like I don't think he's gonna be a power play quarterback guy. Like maybe in the bumper spot, I could see a guy like him working. um, but for me, it's more of a, yeah, like when you play on the power play with Nick Lardis, you're gonna get a lot of points, and he certainly did. So yeah, like I agree with you. I'm a little cooler on him than most people, but I still like him. Like, you know, he's part of that group, right? What's the word in cycling? The group, the chase group, but there's a word for it in French, I believe. The repechage? No, what's the word?
I have no idea. This is a foreign concept to me.
I don't know. There's a word for it. Maybe someone will know it in the chat. Scott Wheeler has said teams are risk averse in their drafting because scouts will strongly prefer higher floor players for their job security. Is that consistent with what you've observed? Yes, I know for a fact. I know for a fact that is the case. Like the number of times this happens is immeasurable, right? Here's a player I like. They are small. I want to keep my job. I also want someone who a coach will play. I will skip over the small player, take the big player. The Peloton, that's the word. Peloton. I've got one behind me. Yes, Peloton. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, yeah, so like skip the small guy, take the big guy, bet on development, right? It never works out. Darn, too bad. Didn't work out. I get to keep my job because the coach kept him in training camp until the final round of cuts, didn't quite make it. He's our number 9 defenseman, number 10 defenseman, right? Oh well. I get to keep my job. That's a thing that happens, right? And so yes, like I think that happens everywhere, right? Like you can look at a player and go, is this player going to be able to resist a hit in the NHL or take a hit in the NHL? Yes. Okay. Can they throw a hit? Yes. Okay. They're good. You know,
Are they big?
are they big? Do they play center? You know, are they rare to find in the NHL? Right? Like we will set aside anything that we can think of to do something that we think will be a good, safe bet. Right? Like, and I to a point I understand it. Right? You don't want to step up there and say with the 4th overall pick we draft Victor Eklund and be wrong. Right? You don't want him to. I personally think Victor Eklund could very well be a player that comes to the NHL. He may never score more than 50, 60 points in a season. I don't think that he's destined for, 80, 90 point seasons, right? Which if you draft that 4th overall might not look very good on the surface, but he is the type of player that in the playoffs, I think you will notice every single shift. And a player who will be right there with some of the guys that may very well go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks ahead of him this year. I just believe that because he just exudes that so well and does it already playing against men. Like, so to me, I sit there, but I can see why teams might go, yeah, we'll look elsewhere, right? I mean, I always love to daydream. I mean, I would love to see in 5 or 10 years an AI program that is capable of saying, all right, well, if you put Victor Eklund in the QMJHL and you put Caleb Desnoyers in the Hockey Allsvenskan, what happens?
But Will, NHLE.
Right. Of course.
NHLE, Will, come on.
How could I forget? But yeah, I mean, like, so you do that, and it's like, I would love to know what that thought experiment is, because I remember that was the most fascinating thing about the 2021 draft is seeing all of these North American kids go to Europe and like seeing Carson Lambos in Liga
Brant
and going
Clark in Slovakia.
yeah, Brant Clark playing in Slovakia and going, boy, like they do stuff in these leagues where you notice, but you really notice where there's areas that need to improve here. Like playing against men is a very different circumstance.
Yes, it is.
So to me, I always keep that in mind. And not to discredit the CHL, but like it is a world of difference just by virtue of who you're playing against. So yeah, I don't know. But I mean, that is absolutely a thing. That is absolutely a thing. And yeah, taking risk is risky. That's the whole point, right? But you don't find success if you never take risks. Look at me. I am both not successful and taking a risk.
So smash that subscribe button, get us to 10K. We're already 60 subs past 9K at this point, and that's happened pretty fast.
Yeah, we might get there by the end of the month.
We need Summer of Punk level, Summer of Scouch.
Yeah. Well, we've got content coming out all summer that people will watch. So
and yell at. So that is.
Oh, the yelling is going to be so good.
Honestly,
I can't.
That's the most important thing. When we have people telling us how stupid we are, that's how we know we're doing our content right to an extent. To an extent.
And I love it. I love it when the people who are all over this in June leading up into the draft and like. They ask for my genuine opinion on guys and this and this and this, and then their team kind of does a more expected thing, like Chicago Blackhawks will take Levshinov at 2, and the whole season I'm like Demidov, and then all of a sudden it's like anytime I say anything about Levshinov, it's like oh, like or you don't get it,
or they'll agree, or they'll agree with you and be really sad and depressed about what their team has done. It's one or the other, right?
Like, yeah, it's one or the other, right? Even though it's like I don't ask for either, it's like you don't need to be depressed. I mean, I go out of my way to talk about how the draft is all just kind of a mess anyway, and like it's just like it's a relatively minor part of the equation, but it can be very useful, and arguably beyond the first round is where it really matters. But yeah, like it's like I'm not asking for people to like think I'm telling their team sucks, and I'm also not telling them that their team sucks on the opposite end of the spectrum because they made a bad selection, right? Like unless it's like an extreme example, or I'm just like I just don't understand it, but
We do
whatever, you
not
know.
sell holy books and we do not try and indoctrinate you. All we do is tell you our thoughts, and if you like them, great. If you don't, tell us that we're wrong because it drives up engagements. That is
Exactly.
all we ask.
Yeah,
It's like, it's free. It's like the
it is
donation
free.
box at the church,
Yep.
but only we're asking you to open your mouth and spew your dumb opinion, all right? Just as we do on the show. That's the
Yeah, just
donation.
yapping.
Listen,
All it
it's
is
good.
just yap
Exactly.
festival.
It helps us. It drives
Yeah.
engagements. Our videos get pushed. Please. We appreciate it.
Oh boy. What's the bigger gap between Schaefer and Misa, or Misa and whoever comes after? I think it's Misa and whoever comes after. Like again, it's really hard to answer a question like what's the gap between this offensive defenseman and this 200-foot center? It's like, well, I feel it depends on how you explain it and like how you approach it and like but I do think Misa's pretty close to Schaefer in terms of like offensive game and their output. And I think beyond that, like, I mean, I really like James Haggins. I really like Porter Martone. I really like Victor Eklund, and I really like Cullen Potter. And I think they do push Misa here and there.
Mhm.
But like the thing that Misa has that I think those guys don't is like this ability to play at all kinds of various paces of play and all kinds of different situations and different locations on the ice and just seeing the ice on another level and timing things and the efficiency in his skating stride. It gives him so much ability to cut off passes and chase down pucks and turn play around. And I just think that there's a bit of a gap there that is a bit bigger than Schaefer Misa. But I mean, hey, we might be looking at three guys in my third tier going at 3-4-5 anyway, or 2-3-4. Who knows? If Misa falls out of the top three, that would be crazy. It would be an absolute steal to overlook his offensive ability because of his physical game. I know, I agree.
But it's all about
But
what you value, right? Like, what do
it's all
teams
about what you
value?
value. All I'm doing is telling you what's popping out there. And again, like you could say the same thing. It's like imagine Ivan Demidov fell out of the top three. That would be a crazy steal
Fell out of
because
the
you
top
overlooked his
two.
offensive ability, right? Yeah, even top two. But he went five, guys. Like he went five, and a guy with back problems went before him, right? Like crazy things happen all the time. Beckett Seneca went ahead
Yeah,
of
I
him,
was
right?
gonna
Like
say a guy with rising draft stonks.
right. So it's like, and Seneca's a good player,
Yeah.
and so I'm not trying to say that, but I'm saying like these ideas and these thoughts of like, well, this is never going to happen because it's crazy, it's too insane. It's like
Then it does, and then we
guy,
rationalize it
yeah, like
as
you like
fans.
just NHL teams will go out of their way to, well, not go out of their way, but NHL teams think about these things on a level that the public sphere just does not have access to, and they prioritize different things depending on their team, and they definitely want to keep their jobs. And so you don't want to take someone at 2 who you have any shred of a doubt. And that's the confusing thing, right? Teams will talk their way out of taking a risk, like a so-called risk of the physical play of Michael Misa or lack thereof. They'll see that as a risk to discount him, but then they'll look at a guy who had a fractured back and has not been healthy in a year, and I would argue wasn't amazing when he played anyway. Uh, and look at him and go, okay, but we're comfortable taking him
Ooh, big boy.
next door, right? Like next door to a Michael
Ooh,
Misa, and
big
it's like
boy.
okay, but you got to see how there's a cognitive dissonance there, right? Like you've got to see how those things are conflicting. Like they do not make sense.
It
But
will. Ooh,
okay,
big boy.
well, one's big and throws hits, right? Like okay, fair enough, right? And again, I like Roger McQueen. I got to make that
Yeah.
absolutely clear. He's a fine player, but you know,
You wouldn't
so
do it
yeah,
where he's being talked about
yeah,
being taken.
I wouldn't. Yeah, if I put them in a blender together and made a hockey player, I think you'd have an unbelievable hockey player. But yeah,
Still wouldn't
I
be
don't know.
as good as Connor McDavid, as I've learned about. Like, you probably can't even blend two players together, like, and get a better player than Connor McDavid. It's like really, it's almost
Right.
hard to do that, even with
Right.
even some of the top guys.
Yep. Okay.
And I mean in the league.
Yeah. Burning hot take. Martone will be a bust. Well, maybe you might be hitting the bong too hard there, Canadian bong ripper.
Also, what is your definition of a bust?
Yeah,
Like
that's the
that's
other thing too.
also everything's up to interpretation, but the
He
world
didn't look that bad. He looks pretty good playing in the World Championships, and that's not easy.
but the world seems to think it's black and white sometimes. What
It's
is
true.
definitive and what is not.
It's true. All right. Thoughts on the SMOT scouting rankings? Yes, Thomas. Welcome. Yes, I know you well. Let me pull it up here.
They're terrible. Next
yeah,
question.
they're awful.
No,
Just
I'm
terrible.
kidding.
Yeah, they're the worst. Clearly, they're not doing any work. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I had that much of that many thoughts really. Like, I have Ben Kindle lower now than you guys have him at 10. Like, I've got Jackson Smith a lot lower now than I've had him all year. I respect that you guys love Cole Reshny so much. Reshny's at 15. I was again, same person I was talking to this morning. Like, Reshny came up and he might go 12, he might go 48. Like, I have no idea. Other than that, like, I mean, McQueen at 20 is pretty radical, but like, that's around where I have him. Zhuravsky at 21 is like, that's sticking your stick in the ground. You know, that's a statement. You stole Michael Sverchek from me, put him at 27. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, Puninen, I mean, some of you must watch the show. I think that might be
Maybe
might be
one's
going
watching
on
right
here.
now.
Yeah, maybe the person who asked this question is a
it's
person
from
there.
there.
I don't know. Yeah,
Who-
I mean, I also should mention that the Elite Prospects Draft Guide dropped as well, and that was a good read as well, even though it was 1,800 pages long. But flipping through it, it was pretty good. I enjoyed reading it. I always enjoy reading their draft guide. It's a good time. Probably the best draft resource there is out there, honestly.
written draft resource. You are the number one in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm the greatest. I'm the GOAT. I'm goated. I'm the greatest that ever lived.
Yeah, how would you make an acronym for it? Like GOAT, but you have to put DA in front of
the GOAT, yeah.
Draft analyst, greatest of all time.
Yeah. Okay. After watching your Aitchison video, do you think some team is going to try to develop him as a winger, or is that missing the point of what makes him appealing? I mean, in that video, I do mention that Aitchison makes a lot of plays that I thought were awesome when he was playing basically as a winger. I don't think that's going to happen for real, though. I think teams are going to look at him and go, he's our big, tough, mean net front defenseman. I think that's just what's going to happen.
And he'll play.
He'll play, you know?
And he's a great dude. Really is.
He is, yes. He's a crazy good personality.
Like,
someone's going to love him. Like,
yeah, I love him. He was
of course.
Great time to be around.
Yeah. Is it the case that center is an objectively more valuable position than wingers?
Yes.
Or that, yeah. I mean, I think it is, right? Like, wingers, I mean, if you think about it in the context of the draft, you can find guys that can score on the wings literally everywhere in the draft, right? Like, it's just how it is. That's how my team that I would have drafted is just full of high scoring offensive wingers. I think that's an important thing to have, but you do need centers. You got to have centers that can stitch play together, move the puck up the ice, play an open ice, and chip in defensively. And that's very, very, very important. A great center makes your life so much easier. And that's why I love guys like Berkeley Catton really well. It's just this year, I think there's a lot of third line center guys that are pretty good. And
you need those guys, but
you need those too, right? But like top 10 picks, I think, are a little bit of a reach, but they're not bad. They're not bad at it. But I do agree. It is a case that it is a more valuable position for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What did you have Podkolzin ranked in your original draft? How do you think he looks in the playoffs? I mean, Podkolzin's looked great in the playoffs. Podkolzin with the Oilers is exactly what I thought Podkolzin would be.
Yep.
Which, you know, I called him a lion. Like, he's a dog.
I remember the words exactly. The lion will get you.
He's going to get you. Yeah, he's going to get you. Let me just look. I want to double check because my old rankings are now archived and stuck in a ditch somewhere.
You had him fairly.
I had him at 9 that year. I had him at 9, and I mean, I was a pessimistic 9 on him. I remember my report on him was tepidly positive, and people still hated it. And Vancouver Canucks fans were yelling at me for years about him. But I kind of said at the time, like he's got potential to be an extremely good third line forward. Like one you always want to play for. Like he's gonna wear a letter, like all of this stuff, and he hasn't gotten there yet. But like you can't argue with his energy and everything. So yeah, I mean,
He's great. He's
I
great
he's
in the
been
role he
great. Yeah,
plays.
yeah. Top 3 Hobie Baker candidates for next year. Oh God, Gavin McKenna.
Just 3 entries of Gavin McKenna.
Yeah, Gavin McKenna 3 times. I mean, I think it's too early to tell because there's plenty of guys who probably still will find commitments. But let me just take a quick look here and then got to keep moving here. Yeah, I don't know. Caden Lindstrom maybe probably could be part of it if he stays healthy. I don't know. In episode 504, did Aburat find the Stone of Sephidia or did Lord Corbinalius kill him with the Sword of Exalia? That is a great question. I think that Lord Corbinalius killed him, killed Aburat with the Sword of Exalia, I think. Yeah, that's what I think happened. Yeah, that's what I think happened.
Cool.
Yeah. Malcolm Spence, Keyshawn Aitchison, and McQueen's older ages affect your opinion on their profile. Yeah, I mean, the way I think about it with those guys is like if they were one of the youngest guys in the draft last year, what would I think of their D+1, right? If I drafted them, where they're going to go this year. If I drafted, like I think about these guys relative to like a Jet Luchenko from last year and how I felt watching that guy and how I feel watching these guys. And yeah, I mean, I feel like of all of these guys, I loved Jet Luchenko the most out of all 4 of them this year. Is Frondell? Thank you. Is Frondell comparable with Ogren style and projection wise? Maybe. I think Ogren was a little bit of a better skating and skill combo, but like a better puck possessor. But in terms of like energy and physicality, then I think there's similarities. Frondell's a bit bigger and like more built, but yeah.
Hey, Will, you missed a complimentary comment. Great job, guys. Thanks for doing this every week.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it.
The sharks that live in the state of Oregon. You're welcome. I guess there are sharks in Oregon because it's on the ocean. But anyway, finding the shiny Pokemon of hockey players. Yeah, exactly. That's what we're trying to do. How Minnesota is handling Rossi is bewildering. He was small and productive when he was drafted. Now he's small and productive in the NHL. How he is who they drafted, and now they don't want him. I mean, look at the history of the drafting for Minnesota over the last few years. They took a very hard turn a couple of years ago in Montreal. Like hard turn. So you can put that together, right? Like, and what was there in that hard turn? I mean, Bill Guerin has influence and Bill Guerin has a type, right? Like they traded Kuznetsov and another guy for Justin Brazeau. Like that's what they're looking for.
That's so
yes.
dumb.
It's wild.
Yes.
Do you read
trade a really good potential third line center for a guy?
Yeah.
Why? What's the point of that?
Because he's small.
What?
Because he's small,
yeah,
and he's not gonna bruise
because
it up in the playoffs.
He's not this many hockey pucks taller.
Now I'm 5'10". I'm an NHL player. You know. Okay. Do you read any draft guides or not? I do. I don't really let them sort of infect my brain. I do. What I do though is I read them and I go, okay, I disagree with that. I'm gonna go take another look for myself. And 9 times out of 10, I go, yep, I'm good with where I'm at.
I just imagine the way Will does his draft rankings is like he's nervously combing over things, making sure he's absolutely correct about everything. And it's like, oh, there was here's the detail. Let me go and do it. And he's like shaking and jittering. And then it's no, but I don't see it. I don't see it. Why are they saying this? I don't see it.
I'm trembling on the couch at 1:30 in the morning in fear. Anyway, who do you think the Hawks will end up picking at number 3? Not want, but think. Frondell. I think Anton Frondell. Either Frondell or Desnoyers. One of those two. I think they're going to pass up on some really insanely highly talented players and draft a solid physical guy. Thoughts on Quinn Beauchene and Liam Pettersson? So Beauchene I love. I think he's got tons of upside. He had an extremely good back half. I thought he was really good at the under 18s. Really unrefined though. Like he's going to need time, but a really, really good defenseman. I've seen him live a few times, and I think he's one of the more underrated players in the whole draft. Liam Pettersson, pretty skilled, definitely a shot first defenseman who I think is fine, but like I've heard people talking about him as like a potential like second round pick in the draft, like mid second round pick or something. And I don't think he'd be the second guy I would pick, but like a mid round guy in terms of like skilled defensemen that aren't on my list, he might be up there, but I have other defensemen that I think are more projectable that I have ahead of him. Last question of the day. Oh God, are you the LeBron, MJ, or Kobe of hockey scouting? I am the Andre Iguodala of hockey scouting. That's who I am. I'm the guy who some random, I guess that was Bill Simmons. Was that Bill Simmons when he did that? I'm the guy who some random person goes, you know what? Everybody reads The Athletic or TSN or Elite Prospects or whatever, but I like scouching. Like that's me. I'm the Andre Iguodala of hockey scouting, right? Like, or the RJ Barrett. That's, I don't know. That's me. Maybe some people might call me the Scotty Barnes of hockey scouting. I don't know. But anyway, we're gonna call it. We both got to get out of here. I got to do physio on my shoulder, and you've got stuff to do. So thanks very much for watching. Again, we got reports coming out for the rest of the week, or tomorrow, I should say, and then more next week. We've got rankings that are starting to work on for the end of the month. We're gonna have, I think we're gonna do a gaming stream the week of the draft as well. So we're gonna have some fun then. And yeah, we're gonna have some good
game
times.
tape episodes I will eventually
There's still
start
game
and
tapes.
finish.
Yeah, so we're going to be very, very busy. We also are putting out our short reports on TikTok as well. If you're on TikTok, we have a page over there for the short reports. And yeah, that's it. I mean, thanks for joining us. See what happens in the Stanley Cup Final, and see what happens coming out of the Combine. We might have a very different paradigm on Monday night when we do our next show at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thanks very much. We'll see you then, and all the best. Have a great weekend.
McDavid's the GOAT.